So now we start with Kaldor's model of income distribution. It is also known as macroeconomic concept for microeconomic distribution. Let's start with the assumption. So the first assumption is there is perfect competition. Unlike Kalecki model of distribution where we were having assumption of imperfect competition with excess capacity, here we have perfect competition in the market. Second is MPS of profit sharing class is higher than MPS of working class. It is quite intuitive as well. So MPS of profit making class SP is higher than SW because obviously the working class would more tend to consume rather than save and invest. However, the higher profit making class usually tends to invest more and the consumption becomes stagnant at one point. So that's why. Third is economies at full employment. So full employment. Fourth assumption is equilibrium takes place in the economy through Keynesian assumption. So equilibrium, Keynesian assumption. So which states y equals to AD, C plus I, and S is equals to I. Kaldor used Keynesian equilibrium to derive his equilibrium. Fifth assumption is workers are available as a large number to supply labor at given wage. So these are the assumptions. Now we go into the derivation part. So since S is equals to I, profit sharing MPS of profit sharing class multiplied by P plus savings of working class multiplied by W is equals to I. Y is equals to W plus P. SP into P plus SW. Since Y is equals to W plus P, we will change it as W is equals to Y minus P is equals to I. SP into P plus SW into W. SW into Y minus SW into P is equals to I. SP minus SW multiplied by P plus SW into Y is equals to I. S will be taken common and then it will be P minus W into P plus SW into Y is equals to I. So now it will be S P minus SW into P plus SW into Y is equals to I. SP minus SW into P is equals to I minus SW into Y. Dividing throughout by Y, we will get SP minus SW into P by Y is equals to I by Y minus SW. This can be written as P upon Y is equals to 1 upon SP minus SW. I by Y minus SW. According to Kaldor's equilibrium, if I upon Y increase, then by upon Y will increase, implying that capitalist has incentive to keep investing. If they invest more and increase I upon Y, then their share in income becomes higher. So, according to Kaldor, if I upon Y, this part of the equation, increases, then P upon Y will also increase, implying capitalist has incentive to keep investing. Kaldor also needed S upon P to be higher than savings of MPS of profit making class to be higher than MPS of working class for this relationship to exist. If it was otherwise, then the relation between I upon Y and P upon Y will be negative and inverse. An increase in investment as a ratio of income will now reduce share of profit as share of income. This is because increase in investment will create higher output, but higher savings of worker will imply reduced consumption, and that compromises capitalist ability to earn profit. Therefore, if it happens, then it takes away the incentive to invest and innovate in the economy, leading to shrinking of economy to its minimum size. Kaldor's equilibrium also shows that capitalists can invest more to increase production and there will be demand to increase profit for capitalist. P upon Y will be increased and capitalist will keep investing till worker is earning minimum wage. So P upon Y increase and capitalist will keep investing till worker is earning minimum wage. Kaldor also explained that if there is recession, then it will imply that capitalists will be willing to reduce investment and therefore reduce their share of profit, such that labor can be kept above minimum wage. The capitalist will just assure that they are above minimum profit so that workers get regular income flow without leaving the market. This will help in long-term revival of the market. So during recession, capitalists will earn just above normal profit so that there is normal flow of wage income to workers such that they don't leave the market. Now, criticisms of Kaldor's model are: first is model assume that worker will accept minimum wage without resistance, but empirical evidence is mixed, and in modern world, workers resist fall in W upon Y if they realize it. This is also the criticism of the Kaleki model of distribution, where Kaleki didn't mention how workers won't be able to negotiate for their wages even when there are presence of trade unions. So similarly, model assumes workers will accept minimum wage. Empirical evidence does not support it. Second criticism was model doesn't consider role of technological advancement. This was taken into consideration by Kaleki, so but it was not taken by Kaldor. So the technological advancement which can increase Y and therefore both P and W, this was not taken into consideration. Third criticism was the model assumed implicitly that capital and labor are perfect substitutes. Capital and labor are perfect substitutes. Fourth assumption was, Fourth criticism was the model didn't recognize the role of human capital. It assumed all labor to be homogeneous. But this was not taken by Kaleki, where he showed that how skilled laborers would be part of the capitalist class and the unskilled would earn the minimum wage. So, though that has its own criticism, but this was not taken by Kaldor into consideration. So, Kaldor's model was majorly based on microeconomic theoretical development based on macroeconomic assumptions. Now, moving on to general equilibrium. So, in general equilibrium, which is Pareto's welfare model, here we will have production Edgeworth box, consumption Edgeworth box, and etc. So, first we go into the assumptions. So, the first assumption is there are two people, A and B, two commodities, X and Y, two factors of production, labor and capital, utility of person A is Cobb-Douglas. So UA is XA, YA. X and Y are the commodities produced in the market, and utility of B is XB and YB. XA plus XB is equals to X. YA plus YB is equals to Y. X is function of labor used in X and capital used in Y. So X is, this is the Next assumption, X is function of labor employed in X and capital employed in X. Similarly, Y is function of labor employed in Y and capital employed in Y. Lx plus Ly is equals to total labor and Kx plus Ky equals to total capital. So these are the assumptions. Next assumption is all ICs and isoquants have standard features. Fifth assumption is product and factor market have perfect competition. So product and factor market have perfect competition. Next assumption is technology remained constant. So this is the assumption which eliminates the criticism of that most of those distribution model didn't take into consider, which was advancement in technological progress, which helps in the growth of P, W, and Y. But in Pareto's welfare model, this is not the case, and they also took labor and capital, which are not as perfect substitutes. So, technological advancement, technology is constant. Now, general equilibrium analysis has three equations to be satisfied. So, general equilibrium analysis has three equations to be satisfied. The first equation is marginal rate of technical substitution of labor and capital for X commodity is equals to marginal rate of technical substitution for Y commodity is equals to W upon R, that is wage upon rent. This is equilibrium in production. This shows equilibrium in production. Now, second equation is marginal rate of substitution for X and Y. For A is MRS XY, for B is equals to PX upon PY. This is equilibrium in consumption. And the third equation to be satisfied is MRS XY A is equals to MRS XY B is equals to marginal rate of transformation in X and Y. This is equilibrium in exchange. So now moving on to the Edgeworth box. So this is the first Edgeworth box, OX, OY. Here on the x-axis we will have labor, and on the y we have capital for X, and similarly on the x-axis for OY we'll have labor, LY, and on y-axis of OY we will have capital for Y. And now let's say there is L1X amount of labor chosen. Similarly, L1Y amount of labor chosen for producing Y, and K1X amount of of capital chosen, and similarly K1Y amount of capital chosen. So this point shows L1X, K1X, and L1Y, K1Y. Let's move on to showing the Pareto points. So similarly OX, OY, LX, KX, LY, KY, and these are the curves. So this is Q1X, this is Q2X, this is Q3X, and this is Q1Y, Q2Y, Q3Y. Similarly, in the next Edgeworth box, OX, OY, KX, LY, KY, LX. So these are the other points. So this is Q dash Y, QY, this is QX, this is Q dash X. So these are the various Edgeworth box and the possible Pareto points which we will start, and let's start with production Edgeworth box. So through production Edgeworth box we will dive deep into what it actually signifies, what is the importance, same coordinates, Lx and Ky. So same ICs and isoquants. In production we will have isoquants. So let's say this is Q1X and this is Q2X. Similarly, these are Q1Y and Q2Y. If initial endowment is such that market finds itself with Q1X amount of commodity X and Q1Y of commodity Y at initial point W, so this is the point W. Actually, the both of these touch each other, so the isoquants will be like this. This is Q1 dash X. Then it represents misallocation of resources. If more labor is transferred, taking it away from Y, and if more capital is transferred to Y, taking it away from X, then economy will gradually reach to point Z. where the two isochords become tangent to each other, and given initial endowment W, the best allocation of resource which will maximize production of X and Y is at Z. Point Z is also called Pareto efficient point of production. It is because after reaching point Z, it is not possible to produce more units of both the commodities. It is also not possible to produce more units of one commodity without reducing the extra unit of other commodity. Therefore, all points in production Edgeworth box isoquants are tangent to each other, represents Pareto efficient points. The combination of all Pareto efficient points within production Edgeworth box is called production contract curve. So production contract curve is nothing but all the Pareto efficient points in production Edgeworth box. Point of origin are also included under Pareto efficiency because if market is at origin of X, then it cannot produce extra X without reducing Y, and similarly at origin of Y, more Y can be produced only by reducing amount of X. So point of origins are also Pareto efficient points and part of Pareto contract curve. Let us show isoquants and isocosts. So this is OX, this is LX, this is OY, this is KX, this is LY, and this is KY. So this is, let's say, the contract curve, and these are the points. So this will be the point where labor is employed for Y, Ly, and this will be for Lx. This is point of equilibrium. At E1, MRTS, marginal rate of technical substitution for commodity X using labor and capital as factors of production is equals to MRTS for Y with labor and capital is equals to wages upon rent. So at point E1, we will have MRTS LKX equals to MRTS LKY is equals to wage upon rent. Equilibrium in production takes place when isocost in the market is tangent to isoquants of commodities X and Y at the same time. So this should also be isoquants should also be tangent to isocost. So at point E1, isocosts are also tangent to isoquants, making it equilibrium. If isoquants are not tangent to each other, like at point, let's say here, T, then it cannot be equilibrium because reallocation of resources can increase production of both X and Y. The market draws its isocost curves with a given W, R, and C, with the isocost line passing through the endowment. Market will reach an equilibrium like a point at E1 where Q dash X and Q dash Y, these points, Q dash X, this is Y, are tangent to each other and isocost is tangent to both of them. This point will be on contract curve and its position will depend on initial endowment. Production contract curve in labor and capital Edgeworth box can be drawn in X, Y, or output space to represent PPC. So if you have to show PPC, this is production possibility curve. This is the point E1. This is the same point which is in the Edgeworth box, E1. This is Q dash X and Q dash Y. So though there would be many Pareto efficient points in this Pareto curve, but at point E1, this can also be shown in the PPC. Now in the next, we'll start with consumption Edgeworth box.